A lot of growth is testing, tracking, and trying to understand what is working, what's not, and learning what's not working a lot of times is almost more important. I don't think I'm particularly great and have superpowers in lots of different areas, but I do pride myself on being able to identify really good people that I think are going to build big things. Great investors are much more accessible, I'd say right now, being able to just tweet at somebody or slide into somebody's DMs. But a lot of this stuff is still relationship based. And so working hard to build relationships with people that can introduce you to other people.
Welcome to Trailblazers, the podcast where we sit down with contrarian tech leaders who found conventional success in unconventional ways. All right, so today on the show, I am so excited to be joined by Rob Schutz. Rob is a serial entrepreneur, operator, and growth expert who has spent his career building and scaling technology businesses that challenge outdated systems. He's the founder of Snagged, where he helps entrepreneurs, startups, and established companies acquire premium domain names. And he's also the co-founder of Ro, the digital health platform that's transformed how millions of people access care and was last valued at $7 billion. Before Ro, Rob was employee number 7 and later VP of growth at Bark, where he helped take the company from $0 to $100 million run rate and ultimately to the public markets. Earlier in his career, he worked in healthcare consulting, helping hospitals transition to digital EMRs, and even founded and sold a daily deals company called What's the Deal, a move that set the stage for his long-term focus on marketing growth and scaling consumer tech. At Ro, Rob played a key role in building a vertically integrated digital clinic, combining telemedicine, pharmacy, and logistics to make healthcare more accessible, stigma-free, and user-first. His work has helped redefine what modern healthcare can look like, especially in areas like men's health, mental health, and chronic care. Rob is a Penn State grad and currently lives in New Jersey, which we were just discussing, with his wife, 2 young kids, and his dog. Let's welcome Rob.
Hey, thank you. What an introduction. Thank you for that.
You've done quite a few things.
It sounds like it when you read it like that.
And they've all kind of gone well. I mean, I have to ask the obvious, have there been any failures?
Oh, yeah, you don't put the failures into the bio.
I know, but sometimes you do. Right. Sometimes you put the mediocre thing.
Oh, yeah.
But all these things kind of...
There's plenty of mediocrity in there. Don't worry. That's followed me my whole life. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of it is you try things, right? You try things, and some of them work, and you lean into what's working, and some things don't, and then you decide what to do next. So I'm happy to talk about failures, if that's the theme for this podcast.
I mean, the theme will be whatever we want it to be. I think, it's really, you don't... What I always like to say is, really special, successful people can build big things multiple times. Not to say that it's luck. Building anything big is hard. But for someone to be able to do it, an Elon is a good example of someone who's touched many different fields and built something big in many different fields. And I feel like you're an example of that. Bark, Ro, and Snagged are kind of 3 very different companies, but you've found success with all 3, which is very impressive.
No, I appreciate it. And people, compare me to Elon all the time.
Yeah.
So it's,
yeah, especially in person. You guys have a lot in common.
We share it's deep dark eyes. I think, I've been very fortunate, and I attribute a lot of that to honestly just surrounding myself with good people. I don't think I'm particularly great and have superpowers in lots of different areas, but I do pride myself on being able to identify really good people that I think are going to build big things. And as I've had the opportunity to kind of partner up, whether it's co-founder level, whether it's joining early stage, whether it's trying new stuff, to surround myself with really good people. And I think, if you can do that, you're setting yourself up for a good shot at it.
Totally. And I mean, you can't go that far alone, right? It's always the people that carry you and build something great alongside you. So I appreciate the humility. I'm recognizing. That's great. Okay, so we start every podcast with a bit of an icebreaker.
Oh.
Okay.
Hate ice.
I love ice.
Oh, well, yeah, different ice.
Eating ice or gliding on ice?
Oh, I thought we were talking about the immigration.
Oh, ice. Yeah.
No,
that's the third ice.
There's so many ices.
There's
out
so
there.
many ices. Yeah, that's the actual ice that's currently relevant, not ice skating.
That's right.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, so icebreaker.
Yeah.
But I hear you on the ice part. So I want to hear from you. What has been the hardest part of your journey so far? It could be personal, it could be professional, but you heard your bio, you heard, it's been a journey. What was the part that almost broke you?
It's a really good question. I wouldn't say it's an icebreaker. That's kind of
so here's the thing.
The icebreaker is what's your favorite ice cream
Correct.
flavor?
So I think most interview 101 stuff is you should start with a soft question. Give them what's your favorite color. So tell me well, how did you grow up?
I'm more of
but
a
I'm
love,
like,
man.
I just want to
so
go
you know.
right for it.
No, I appreciate that. No, it's a great question. I mean, look, there are a lot of challenging moments along the way. Like, for me, I think back around my trajectory and how, different decisions you make can lead you down different paths, seemingly small decisions, right? It's like Butterfly Effect.
Mm-hmm.
Great film, Ashton Kutcher, by the way.
Haven't seen it.
Well, for the list.
Okay.
But I had a daily deal site in Washington D.C. It was called What's the Deal. It was super small. It was me and my friend, and my parents gave us like $10,000 to see if we could figure it out. We launched it right around the same time that Groupon and Living Social launched. We were kind of like right in the mix of all these big companies. And I'll fast forward. We got super fortunate and wound up selling that company to a competitor right as things got really big. But that moment was actually, very exciting, very confusing for me, because I was very much like not great at anything, and I hadn't fully transitioned into the startup world. I'd come from like consulting, and I didn't really have a great network. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I thought I was going to be the super smart entrepreneur that would create all these businesses. Lots of failures to talk about in there, by the way. But then having to pick a path was really tough. And that's something I also, as I'm talking to people, have seen as a theme, where if you're trying to pivot into something new, it's really hard. It's really hard to figure out, like, what am I doing? What do I want to do? And so for me, I remember that being a pretty pivotal moment, where that was the actually point in time where I got some good advice, and I wound up pivoting more into like performance marketing. Before that was even really a thing. It was called like growth marketing, demand marketing. And I think about that moment a lot, because it could have gone a lot of different ways. Could have gone back into consulting, could have joined joined someone more on the investment side. Like, there were a lot of different types of opportunities, but I feel like that was a pretty critical moment for me, where I said, all right, I'm just going to go try this new thing. And then I met the dog guys at Bark, and we hit it off and got an opportunity to like really, really get into something new and get some new reps. But I think could have gone a lot of different ways. And so have to be retrospective about it.
Totally. And who gave you the advice to do some of like the growth marketing, performance marketing stuff? Because, I mean, you'd been a founder, you'd done consulting. It's kind of a random thing. I mean, it's a little more popular now and a little more known, but I mean, especially like, post Facebook ads and all this AEO stuff.
Yeah, this is pre-Facebook.
Yeah, this is like a while ago. So like, who even pointed you in that direction, and whose advice did you seek at that time?
So it wasn't actually, I remember the exact guy who gave it to me, shout out Lele, where his advice wasn't like go down this path, it was to pick a path. Because I remember we had coffee and I was like frustrated. I was meeting with lots of people. I was, interviewing for different jobs, but it was all over the board. It's like, do you want someone that does, finance? Do you want someone that does sales? Do you want someone that does marketing? And it's like hard for people to help you unless you're a little more specific. And so he was like, you just got to kind of pick something, man. And at that time, I was actually through my wife's cousin's ex-fiance, blah, blah, blah. She was doing a bunch of work at General Assembly, and she was like, you should just help out at this class, and happen to be like a performance marketing class.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I can help. I TA'd for the class, and then I was like, this is fun. I could just kind of do this. And so, sometimes just that nudge of like maybe less on specificity, but more of just like strategically just pick something.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be forever, but it could be for right now. It's super helpful.
Yeah, but that in between is so excruciating when you need to decide something, but you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I get a lot of people like, should I do venture? Should I operate? Should I do consulting? Should I start something? It's so overwhelming. And especially for the folks that want to join an early stage startup, they don't even know where to begin. Like, they don't even know where to start. So like you said, you got that crazy opportunity. I think employee 7 at Bark, right? Very early.
There were a bunch of dogs in addition to the people, but
so you were
human employee number 7.
Okay, but like real employee, humans and dogs, like 20? How many dogs were there?
Probably about 20 or so.
That's so fun. Was it one of those great cultures where like everyone brought a dog and it was fun?
It was actually, I mean, early BarkBox days were very silly. We had this office in Chinatown. You had to take an elevator. a man operated the elevator. Mr. Liu would come down. You have to tell him what floor. I remember there's a big sign that said no spitting when you walked in. That was like the tone setter
So
for like
funny.
walking in.
Yeah.
And you walk in with your dog. You pass all these. I don't know that they were sweatshops, but people were certainly sweaty in there. And then you go up to the 6th floor, and it was kind of like this little tiny startup incubator with little dogs running around and people trying to figure out how to, honestly, focus on making dogs happy, which was super fun.
It's a good mission.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, dogs deserve to be happy.
they do,
Yeah, they really do.
They want for a lot.
They do.
But yeah, those were fun days.
That's awesome. And so you ended up doing growth marketing there, and from just very briefly like zooming out, you've done that through your whole career. You've been kind of like this growth guy. And it sounds like you really liked it.
Yeah.
Tell me about that fit. Like you picked it and it worked. Did you make it work? Did you just have a knack for it? Tell me a little bit about like those early growth days and what you learned at BarkBox.
Well, yeah, Bark was really kind of where I cut my teeth on all the growth stuff. Like, again, it was pre-Facebook ads, and that was a big unlock for us was, I was literally sitting there the day that Facebook ads launched in the newsfeed with money to spend. I was like, I should try those. And they went very well, and it was cheap. And it was like, let's do more of that. So I do think that was a bit of a cheat code, when you can do that.
And it's the perfect product for Facebook ads.
Perfect.
I mean, couldn't be better.
Perfect. I mean, it's a visual product, right? Pictures and videos of dogs on the internet. That's already what exists. Now you're putting a call.
Like, I already follow a bunch of accounts that, I don't even have a product attached with that same stuff. Yeah.
I mean, that was also part of the fun too. Is it was so early days for like Instagram and dogs having accounts on Instagram. You would have these accounts that had like millions of followers that were just a dog on Instagram, and so I'd be able to go in and be like, let's work together, affiliate basis. You should come to our office, take pictures. And it was so wild west back then. It was really fun. Like, obviously, fast forward 15 years and it's a lot more complex and grown up. But I remember we figured out if we posted like a cute picture of a dog and like a sassy comment at like 4:30 Eastern on weekdays, we would make the Instagram popular page every time. And then we'd get like 2,000, 3,000 followers a day. So then it became a thing. It was like, you lock that in. Cool, that's a thing. We're going to do that. That's going to help grow Instagram. And then we had like paid ads, and you basically are just trying lots of stuff. And then things that work, you do more of that. You hire people to do that better than you. You turn that into a program. Things that don't work, you say, great, now I know that doesn't work. I won't do that. I won't spend time or money on that right now. Maybe we'll revisit it later. So that was kind of the initial, like my initial learning of just how to approach some of this stuff. And a lot of growth is testing and, tracking and trying to understand what is working and what's not. And learning what's not working a lot of times is almost more important. So whenever I'm talking to, companies I'm advising or folks who are on boards, I talk about like paying for education. Mm-hmm. You're paying to learn that something works or doesn't. It's better to accelerate that so you don't spend 6 months thinking maybe TikTok Shop ads work, and you're spending all that time and energy versus 2x your budget, get a no quicker and move on to something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of learnings from the dog days.
Totally. Yeah, the dog days. It's got a nice pun to it also. It's funny, even hearing you...
I can't get out of dog puns. It's a big part of my life still.
Hearing you talk about some of this growth stuff, it's actually reminding me a lot that so much of the role of being in the growth world is experimenting and testing and iterating, and so is the role of being a CEO and a founder. Like, I think there's actually not enough conversation, and I'm a little biased about this, but there's not enough conversation about how that skill set, like the go-to-market growth marketing skill set, is actually often quite similar to like the founder skill set, where you have to constantly be like trying new things, testing, taking action, go. I'm kind of leading the witness here, but like, what's your take on that growth profile as a founder? Because like you've done that now a few times. I think venture's obsessed with like the more technical founder.
Yeah.
But I actually think the growth founder has a lot of skills that are very relevant and really important. So what's your take on that archetype?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's definitely a lot of people that have come from like the growth and performance background that have gone on to build really interesting and successful companies. I think regardless if it's at the founder level or not, that is a function that is usually tightly tethered to the CEO or to the founders, because especially early on, it's so important, like your narrative, your trajectory, how you're going out and fundraising, how you explain that. Oh, because especially early on, investors, super smart VCs would be like, oh, I see, like, in month 2 we had a dip in, month 2 retention on the curve. Like, what you have to be able to speak to that really eloquently, and have a reason why this happened, what our 3-pronged plan is for addressing that in the future. So very rarely you can just have like a good technical co-founder or a good just like overall management co-founder who's not deep in the weeds with growth. And then I think there's plenty of opportunity for folks with that background to step into those types of roles. And I think we've seen a lot more of it over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Which is lovely to see.
Which is exciting.
Yeah.
Represent your own kind.
Yeah.
So you have obviously, Bark is one journey. Then you had Row for quite some time. And obviously now with Snagged. You've been building these businesses and responsible for the growth of these businesses for many years. How has the growth marketing world changed? We're talking like pre-Facebook ads. Now there's a lot of wild stuff with like AEO, answer engine optimization.
Yeah.
You guys have been doing a lot of like celebrity influencer stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear your take on like what's different now with like the growth marketing landscape versus when you started.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like night and day. At least it seems to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, if you take the example of like running Facebook ads for Bark and you think about like the cost per million impressions, the CPM, it was probably 100x cheaper back then than it is now. Like all of the platforms and the opportunity to like arbitrage those platforms has mostly been removed. Like there are just so many people that that are doing Google ads, that are doing Facebook, Instagram, TikTok ads, etc. If you're early to a channel, you get the benefit of, cost savings and cheaper impressions overall. But as those channels mature and more people jump into the auctions, like it kind of just becomes you can always optimize and try to get better, but you're also at the mercy of the algorithms a little bit. I think where things have changed even more recently, and with AI and where everything is moving with like creative iterations through AI and putting that on Meta, like something something the team I know talks about at Row is, thinking more about these real human stories, the things that you can't really replicate, if that's celebrities, if that's everyday Joes, but like capturing that in a way that's really authentic. That's not something that AI can really do. Like you can't take a Charles Barkley. You're not allowed to take a Charles Barkley and put him in AI and say, hey, he's taking GLP-1s. Like those are authentic relationships that are differentiators. And, certainly a lot has changed, but I think the underlying mentality of iterate, test, work on attribution, cleaning up conversion rates, like CRM, all those pieces are still building blocks, but from like a paid perspective, it's certainly got more competitive.
Totally. And I love this like human authenticity piece. I think that's so much of it. Like when we ask ourselves what cannot be replaced, it is that trust and excitement and loyalty we've had with humans for a long time. And that's never going away.
Yeah.
What's the next?
Hopefully.
Well, we'll find out. Sometimes you think it's a human and it's not a human, and that's really scary. What's like the next frontier that you're so excited about, that you guys are spending time thinking about? Let's say someone's a founder listening right now, and they want to be thinking more thoughtfully about their growth engine. What is something that maybe you've been tinkering on or you've been thinking about that you think maybe doesn't yet have that, they can get that 100x cheaper advantage if they're listening?
Yeah, I don't know if I have any secret channels. I have been tinkering a lot with OpenClaw over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Just getting more comfortable with how to kind of train that agent and how to have it ingest data and connect to APIs and like do a lot of work that used to be a lot more manual. So I think there's certainly opportunities there where you can get smarter on like a per channel or per reporting basis, where you can identify if it's arbitrage opportunities, if it's efficiencies, if it's things that are going really poorly, much more quickly than maybe you could have in the past. So I think that's all very fun, and I think could have some interesting practical implications.
Totally. It's just about tinkering and like seeing what platforms you like, what platforms are most interesting. Because like OpenClaw is just one of so many that are doing really cool things.
Totally. I can't even keep up.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm
that's
just
all
going to
of
pick
us.
one thing and just see if I can figure out what the heck is going on.
Totally. Okay, so you were at Bark for a while. Obviously, this company scaled really fast. And at some point, you decided, we're going to start Row. So talk to me a little bit about that transition from, dog world to men's healthcare.
Yeah.
What made you want to start it? and sort of those like early innings? Because I think a lot of people don't know this. You guys are having a big moment now, but this company was started like almost a decade ago.
2017.
Yeah. 9 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sobering. Yeah, I mean, I guess the backstory on that is I had been at Bark for about 5 years. Was starting to get a little itchy to do something, work on something myself. I had been introduced to the two guys who would become my co-founders, Zach and Saman, actually through Bark. Bark shared an office with kind of like a startup incubator, and
is it still around, the startup incubator?
it is. Is one of the co-founders of Bark, Henrik Werdelin, also had this startup incubator called Prehype.
Okay.
And
it's a good name, Prehype.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't know if they have the .com, but I'll check on that.
Yeah, you can help them out. That's a good domain.
I'll call someone. I'll send a text. And Zach had been hanging around at Prehype. He had a startup that went through Y Combinator, and then he shut it down for, I think his sister got sick, and he wound up returning all the money and was kind of like just looking for something new. And then Saman, who had been helping out at Bark, but then he left and he started a company called Managed by Q out of New York, which was the smart office cleaning company.
Yeah, huge.
Sold to WeWork. But then he was kind of back and he was poking around, and they wanted to start something together. I always wanted to stay close to Saman. He's a very special brain. He's like a design / product / tech guy. You don't always find people that are like great at design and great at coding.
Yeah.
And so we took some walks. We talked about different things. They were like pretty excited about this men's health opportunity. This is where I said, like, I think these are special people.
Yeah.
Referencing our kind of allusion from earlier, like, I don't think you run into these types of people before. I really liked Zach. We spent a lot of time together. And, I was on the fence of whether I joined them full time. They knew lots of things about lots of things, but they did not know a lot about marketing. They would always come up to fifth floor at Bark and they'd be like, how do we do ads? Or like, how do we build these landing pages? And so I liked both their experience and the fact that we were very complementary skill set. Like, Zach knew a lot about the healthcare space. His dad was a very well-known sexual health doctor, Dr. Michael Raitano. Shout out, Doc. And also had gone through, YC, knew a lot of investors, had great relationships. Saman had built companies, product, design, etc. I was able to bring like marketing, brand, comms to the table, performance. And so it felt like between the three of us, we could do a lot of the things. And that's, I would say, one of my bigger learnings about starting a company was just the importance of complementary skills. And you see this a lot where like two engineers will join up, or like two, people with finance backgrounds will join up and be co-founders. And that's great, and it can work. But when those circles overlap too much, you're kind of like, well, we can handle this piece, but then we're just going to need to find really good people who can do marketing and really good people who can do tech, versus like, ideally you can cover off on a lot of that yourself, and then you supplement that, or you bring in people that are better than you later.
It's a constant tension, though, because like when you start a company, you want it to be with people you worked with before, and often it's like, oh, we both come from consulting, and we both come from Google, and like, I totally hear you. But I think that's a lot of what I see too, is like balancing complementary with we've worked together.
Totally.
And that's a hard thing.
100%.
Hard tension.
And that's not, I don't think that comes together all that often. And there's like these founder dating and whatever.
Yeah.
But
I'm not the biggest fan of those. I'm like, you really don't know this person.
Yeah. No, we had coffee one time.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure they're fine. Love is blind.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's why I felt like this was pretty unique, where we kind of knew we knew each other enough, and we had a lot of common mutuals, and we spent time together, and the skills were complementary. That felt like a good mix. And I remember, actually, because I was on the fence, we had just bought a house in New Jersey, we had just had our second kid, I was coming up on 5 years at Bark. You get a paid 3 month sabbatical at that time at Bark, and I was like very much looking forward to that. And then I had to make a decision. I was going to join the guys. We were going to build Roman at the time.
Yep.
And I remember sitting down with my wife, who is very smart and is a therapist. And
what a great thing for a wife to be.
I mean,
you're lucky. You get free therapy.
I mean, I am lucky for many reasons. I will agree with that. But she sat down and we were talking it through, and she was like, do you think you would look back at this and regret not doing it? And I was like, that's a really good way to frame it. I definitely would. Like, if they went and built this company and I was not a part of it and it was successful, I would be very disappointed with myself. And so,
I mean, imagine seeing the $7 billion headline now and, knowing you could have.
well,
I mean, maybe it wouldn't have gotten there without you.
Probably would have only been 6.
Exactly. Yeah. You were the secret sauce.
No, and we talked about it after, and they're like, I don't think we would have started it without you. And I felt the same way. Like, I don't think we could have done a lot of things we did early on without each other. And so, yeah, that was the early days. Is like I was still kind of transitioning out of Bark, but I would take the subway down to our rinky-dink office outside of Union Square, and we actually built the first pharmacy there because we needed a licensed accredited New York pharmacy, so that got built out first. I actually remember one of the first pitches I went to might have been with David Tisch at Box.
Yeah, of course.
We went and had a breakfast, and they were like, just come to the breakfast, and I was like, I don't know that I'm in yet, and they were like, just don't say that. And so they started putting my name and on some of the decks that they were sending out, and I was like a little uncomfortable, and then eventually I was like, all right, we're gonna commit. Let's just go do this. So then bing bang bong, and next thing you know, we're building Roman.
On Trailblazers, we spotlight founders who succeed by doing things differently, not by following the playbook, but by rewriting it. Many of those unconventional builders and the VCs backing them run on Brex because it helps them scale with speed and focus. From smart corporate cards and high-yield banking to AI-powered expense management, Brex gives startups the financial stack they need from day one so they can spend more time building and less time managing back-office operations. More than 30,000 companies, from breakout startups like Anthropic and Cursor to global leaders like DoorDash and Plaid, trust Brex to help them spend smarter and move faster. That's why we, as a venture firm and also the podcast, run on Brex too. Sign up at brex.com/trailblazerspod to get started and claim exclusive rewards. That's brex.com/TRAILBLAZERSPOD. RocketReach is the leading sales and lead intelligence solution trusted by sales, marketing, recruiting, and business development teams to grow their businesses. Whether you're looking for a developer halfway around the world, a C-level executive in New York, or a potential investor in Silicon Valley, we connect you directly. With RocketReach, you can easily access the most comprehensive, accurate compilation of emails and phone numbers on Earth. That puts you in front of the right people faster and backs you up with a database that reaches across industries, markets, and titles, using AI to continually improve the quality of your contacts. With RocketReach, you can reach anyone so you can reach higher. Many of you know I love cold outreach. It's been the root of many of my success so far, and this is the tool that I've used the whole time. Trailblazer listeners get 15% off any plan at rocketreach.co/trailblazers. That's rocketreach.co/trailblazers. What was the calculus, if there was any, on New York versus SF? I mean, I know you obviously had the wife and now the second baby in New Jersey. I imagine they also had some roots in New York. Was there any pull to say, okay, we should go to the heart of, venture, company building, all that? Or was it we're going to build a New York company?
No, it was New York, 100%. I mean, we were just at that point in our lives. Saman had 3 kids at the time. I had 2. We just there was no real, that wasn't even really a discussion. I think, we were fortunate that, Zach had investor relationships already. We had, some pre-seed funding. So the need to be in it and walking down Sand Hill Road every day was not as pressing versus this is kind of where we are, and there's a good ecosystem here. There's good engineering talent. There's enough here where we can really make it work. And then, we'd go out there occasionally for meetings and talk to investors and stuff, but that was never really part of the calculus.
Yeah. Well, that's also the beauty of having so many relationships already, right? It's you kind of got to pick, and I'm sure a lot of SF folks were already knew who you were and could come here to schmooze you.
They didn't know who I was, but
they knew who Zach were.
Yeah, they knew who some of the other guys were.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely exciting to get to be part of that. I'd never really been part of pitching and the whole investment life cycle, which I got very familiar with very quickly.
It's an interesting world, I will say.
Oh, it's just lovely.
It's just so lovely.
There's so much value that investors are able to add.
Oh,
it's
they're
hard
just
to
so
have
valuable.
time for them.
I know. They're all they're doing is building the company themselves, basically.
Basically, you're just there to be a figurehead.
Exactly.
No, we have and continue to have an incredible group of investors. We've been very, very fortunate with that, and part of that is because we guys had been through this process before, and so sorting out who would actually be helpful, who would be annoying, Is this good money to take? Should we include these guys in a round because they could follow on with a growth round later? Like, I don't know any of those things.
Yeah.
So getting an education on that piece of like company building was very valuable.
And what's your advice now if a founder's listening and they're trying to figure that out? Maybe they don't have as many relationships, or maybe they do, but they don't know who to pick. Is there one tidbit you have in terms of fundraising or even like board building that you think is important?
I mean, it's a good question. I don't know that I have like a great banger for you. I mean, I think it's a lot like great investors are much more accessible, I'd say right now, like being able to just like tweet at somebody or, you know, slide into somebody's DMs. So definitely more accessible, but you know, a lot of this stuff is still relationship based. And so like working hard to build relationships with people that can introduce you to other people. Like I get hit up a lot from just people who I'm connected with on LinkedIn. They're like, could you introduce me to X? Could you introduce me to Y? And like, I don't always do that. I want to like qualify it a little bit, but I'm happy to pass along if there's like good people building good stuff. And so I think similarly, like putting in the sweat to build the relationships is where it's going to pay off. Because really what you want is like just a way to get your foot in the door. And like, even if you have an amazing relationships, if the business is no good, or, you know, there's not traction, like it doesn't mean people are going to give you money. But if you can get your foot in the door and you know, tell your story and prove out some of what you're trying to build, then, you know, you've got a good shot.
Totally. And these relationships compound too. I mean, like you were saying, you know, your co-founders had done other businesses and how these relationships. So, you know, maybe that one company doesn't work out, but maybe the second one does, or maybe both do in one of your co-founders' cases. You know, that's not bad. So tell me a little bit about how Ro has evolved. So I think everyone knows Ro now for GLP-1s. That's like your big swing that is hitting. But you didn't start there.
No.
So tell me a little bit about how it's evolved, and then maybe also that like GLP-1 moment that helped you guys really take advantage of this big swing.
And full caveat, I'm not part of the
You're not involved day to day.
I'm on the board, and you know.
But you see a lot, and you know the story.
Just the disclaimer.
Yeah, I can't take credit for it, but I'm on the outside, but I'm still involved.
No, when we launched, I mean, and some folks will remember, when we launched, it was Roman, and we were just focused on erectile dysfunction. That was like a strategic decision for us to focus on highly stigmatized condition, because it was interesting, like this happens where people, like companies come out in pairs, but it was us and Hims.
I was going to say.
And then also Keeps.
What's happened to Keeps? Are they still around?
I think they're still around. They merged with Nurx, the birth control company, and I'm not 100% sure what's going on there, but I know that certainly in the earlier days, you know, we ran into them a lot, but you know, Hims and Keeps both started with hair loss, and we didn't know this at the time, but we started with erectile dysfunction, and that was for us, I think, a really good decision. One, Z's dad is a very well-known sexual health doctor.
Yeah.
He knows all of the top urologists in the world who came in and consulted with us and built the treatment protocols and like really gave us credibility. Like when Google shut down our ads and we bring in like the top doctors in this field to help have a conversation, that was valuable, right? Probably less so if we were talking about hair loss or other things.
Yeah.
But we loved leaning into the stigma. Like
it's
that
fun,
was
probably.
Totally fun. Challenging to do it in a way that is not like crass and is not like off-putting, because again, with erectile dysfunction, you're really mostly talking to half of the population. And this was it happened to be a moment in time where there's a lot of weird things going on in the world that, you know, we couldn't control, but with like Me Too.
I was going to say.
It wasn't like the ideal timing for this stuff, but we approach it in like, I think a way that we're pretty proud of, which was it's a healthcare condition. This is, you know, something that affects, you know, men and their partners, and bring it out of the back, you know, the back room. You know, Z's dad would talk about this is like a door handle problem where people would be, they come to the doctor because their knee hurts. Mm-hmm. But then as they're leaving and they grab the door handle, they'll be like, by the way, could I get a Viagra script? And so it's something people just like, of course, they don't want to talk about. They don't want to look a doctor in the eye and talk about it. A little more comfortable doing it online. And this coincided with, you know, a change to the regulatory environment across the country where you could actually do a lot of this stuff legally and safely online. And so we loved that, and we loved leaning into this is something that we're taking from a shady billboard on the side of the road now into like the mainstream. And so it was exciting, and I got to like really very quickly flex a lot of the, like, honestly, the Bark growth playbook, which is like, we're going to run TV spots, we're going to do, social ads, we're doing search, we're doing all of the things.
What worked the best? Like, was there any, I mean, I know I keep asking for like the secret sauce, but like, what was there a thing that really cracked it? That was that balance between, saying what it is, but not being too crass, because that's such a tough balance.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's a messaging piece and then there's a channel piece. I would say, like, from a messaging perspective, I remember we played around with a lot of different types of kind of campaign and messaging, and then we realized we just need to say what this is. It doesn't need to be cute. It doesn't need to be like, it was like, your friend wants to know if they can go online and get access. This was just like ED meds prescribed online, delivered to your door. Very so. And I think that was actually a really big learning for me. When an industry is new, just talking about what you do is new enough to people versus like, we're better on price and our shipping is better and we have all these features. You're not in a grid being compared. People are like, you can do that online? So like leaning into the simplicity of the model first and then applying that to the different channels, right? So we did social search. I'd never been part of a business that had such a large, like, high intense search.
I was gonna say, because this is also a very like discreet, in the middle of the night on Google, please help me, erectile dysfunction meds, know?
And it's always nice if there's high intent search that exists for your product.
Yeah, it's hard. Most folks don't have that. It's like you type in one vague word and we're all trying to compete on SEO.
100%. And that was the way it was with like BarkBox toys, right?
Dog
toys, like, people weren't searching for like a monthly box of treats and toys, So that was good, and that at least was validating. We're like, okay, there's something here. Like, it's good if people are basically looking for exactly what you sell, and then they go to your site, and then they sign up for your service.
Yeah.
But we were hot out of we were running TV ads a couple months in. So I feel like we were able to accelerate a lot of the, like, how do we tinker, and I knew there was product market fit. We all knew there was product market fit. It was like the most popular, profitable drug of all time. Now it's about a model fit. Are people willing to do this online? We felt pretty good that people are going to be comfortable doing this online versus talking to somebody in person and looking them in the eye. And it was super, important that this was also like clinically safe and backed by science, and we had all these doctors behind us and advisors. And so that felt good, and it allowed us to really grow very, very quickly. And then eventually we would roll into some of these other products, but that was the initial hook.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it was a profitable business. It was going well. So then at what point do you decide to do the GLP-1 stuff too? And like, was there kind of like a lull at any point? Like, profitable business, we've sort of like gobbled up a lot of the market. I mean, Hims went public also, by the way.
Yeah.
So they own like a piece. At what point were you like, let's try this like new line of business?
Yeah. Well, first of all, not profitable out of the gate. I mean, a very overhead intensive business.
Yeah.
But we raised money that's what venture
subsidizes on profitable businesses. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But then you get there eventually. That's the trick. And then it switches.
100%. Like, it's very hard to be profitable and grow very, very quickly from day one. But yeah, I mean, look, we started with ED, we added hair loss. Our second big product was actually smoking cessation. It was a product called Zero, where we had this insight that 18% of men who signed up for to be seen for erectile dysfunction challenges smoked. And that was a big reason why. And so there was like an app, there was medication that was helpful, and that just absolutely bombed. It was to the point where we launched that day and like no one had signed up, and I like went through the flow. I'm like, something must be wrong with the flow. And I signed up and I like went through, and people were like, "Oh, we got one." I was like, "No, that was me. That was me." And that was a good learning for us.
Yeah.
Learning's the best, as discussed. But people are not as enthusiastic about stopping doing something, even if they know it's bad for them. It's like, I know I should quit, but I don't really want to, and I certainly don't want to pay money to stop doing something I kind of like. And so, it was a good guiding principle as we thought about new products. Like, people want more immediate gratification. They want something that helps improve a portion of their life tangibly. And it's harder to be successful with some of these products that, like, people, even though they're bad for them, they like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same reason habit formation is so difficult. It's like it's hard to stop a habit you have, and then it's hard to form a new one that you want to have. It's like the drinking water thing. I'm like, someone can tell you till you're blue in the face to drink more water. Great job. Thank you for drinking your water. Brought by the podcast studio. But, you're not going to drink more water unless it really makes you feel good. And it's hard to get people to experience it feeling good if they never drink it at all.
Totally. It's the same thing with, like, we played around with this a little bit, but, like, longevity, supplements. It's like, maybe this stuff works, but you're not going to know for like 30 years.
Yeah, we'll find out when we're 80. Yeah. Do we live to 80? Do we live to 81? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it's from that supplement that I took for 20 years.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, we rolled out a skincare line. We rolled out a menopause line called Rory. The connective tissue, by the way.
I was going to say,
Roman
tell me all of them.
0 Rory. There was always a Ro in it. And so we always kind of knew over the long term, Ro would be the master brand.
That's really smart.
And then as we moved into these other areas, we knew we had already spent $500 million getting people to know Roman as an erectile dysfunction company. That wasn't going to work for a menopause company or for weight loss or for skincare. So then it became like this transition to Ro as the overarching brand. And now the team has done a really good job. It's like, it's a Ro everything. There's like Ro for men's health. There's Ro for fertility. There's Ro for, a bunch of different areas for weight management.
So all the brand equity you built with Ro can kind of stay across the board, but you now separate it by category.
It's kind of like going into Mount Sinai. Mount Sinai is the brand, but you can go to the urology department, go to the fertility department, you can go to the
But you trust Mount Sinai.
Exactly.
So you'll trust whatever they put together. Yep.
Right. And you build brand equity from the reps you're getting on ads as well. So like, it's wasteful if you're trying to build 3 or 4 different brands. And that's where some people also have a challenge in this space and others where, like, if you have too many brands that are specific to a gender or specific to a department, it doesn't accrue in the same way that it does to like a single entity. But yeah, and to your question about weight management, we were very early to weight management. We actually initially launched with a different product that was a natural product. It was actually a pill you took called Plenity that created a hydrogel when you drank water, just filled you up.
Same concept. Like the
same
fill
concept,
you up piece.
Yeah, fill you up less, less, you're less hungry, et cetera, less caloric intake. But we were very bullish on GLP-1s very early. So we launched well before Hims or any of these other guys on GLP-1s. And yeah, that was as I was getting ready to leave, that was like the big push around GLP-1s. And, obviously that has grown tremendously and is a big part of the zeitgeist these days, and a bigger part of the business. But it's, it was pretty wild that we didn't know that we'd ever have, another home run like erectile dysfunction, and then seeing what, weight management has been. And I think a lot of that is due to the infrastructure that we built along the way. Like, at one point, I think we had 11 physical pharmacies across the country. We had licensed doctors in every state. We built a lot of the infrastructure ourselves, which then lends itself very well to if it's weight management or if it's fertility, if it's blood testing, and whatever these things, whatever these functions might be. So yeah, very early to that, and the team has done a tremendous job executing against the opportunity, and it's been fun to watch from the sidelines here.
Yeah, cheer them on. Be like, yeah, you keep going. Yeah. You keep increasing my equity.
Yeah.
That's so epic. Yeah, and I think, like you said, I mean, you're also making the case for, I know you guys weren't necessarily an incumbent at the time, but you had so much infrastructure already built that there's a lot to be said, I think, especially in this AI wave where, a lot of the incumbents are already prepped and ready to go and can like jump on an opportunity. And so it sounds like that was really you guys. Like, you hadn't started as a GLP-1 business, but you were ready to go because you had enough of that built out.
I mean, the same is actually true during, and again, I'm pulling this from the archives of my brain, but remembering back when COVID hit, we actually were set up to
do mask stuff or something.
Well, we actually were helped set up to do in-person vaccinations for like underserved populations. Because at the time, we'd also bought a company that, like a mobile phlebotomy company.
Whoa.
And we had a workforce, and we were working with the city of New York and a bunch of different areas to like, for folks that couldn't get to the clinics, right? How to get them inoculated. So it was like a great example of we've built this infrastructure. It can be applied in a bunch of different ways. And I think that definitely holds true today where like, you know, the team has done an amazing job building out really solid relationships now with the drug companies, and the drug companies are thinking about, wow, this is actually a different way to think about distribution versus, you know, sending out 1 million sales reps to doctors' offices to talk about things like go direct to patients, tell patients directly, you know, what the benefits are. So that's been really exciting to watch.
Yeah, and it's so cool that there's so many examples you can point to. So you stepped away from Row around this time.
Yeah.
And now you're working on Snagged.
Yeah.
Give everyone like a little teaser. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What made you want to start it? I mean, I'm sure your margin on that's got to be pretty epic. You know, you take a little piece of all these crazy domain sales.
Well, you know.
But give us the rundown.
For the love. I mean, the context on the transition was also, I'd been there for about 6 years. I'd been at Bark for about 5, 2 little kids. I love building from 0 to 1 and 1 to 100. Felt like it could be a nice time to take a breath. Like I was very thankful and continue to be very thankful that like Zach and Saman, they're great and love building really small companies. They're great and love running really large companies. I felt like there's never a good time for anything, but I love the idea of being able to like take a step back, stay on the board, keep relationships, like, you know, have everything on the up and up and be able to let them run the show. So that's been fantastic to watch and definitely keep in touch with the guys, and that's been great. And the whole purpose of stepping back was like, I'm not going to go do the same thing somewhere else. I don't, at this point in time, have a strong desire to like build another high growth VC-backed company. I kind of just like, I kind of have focused on gravitating things that I naturally enjoy. And one of those weird things has always been domain names. For myself, for my businesses, for my friends. People would always come to me and they're like, how does this work? Like, I want to get this name. Who even owns it? How do I? And so after I stepped back, that kept happening. And I had more and more people reaching out. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should just do this for a little bit. And so Snagged is just me. And I brought in my partner, Brian, who's my best friend from elementary school.
Oh, that's so nice.
I've taught him how this works, and it's kind of just an excuse for us to hang out. But it's been fascinating. The world of domain names is still very much Wild West. And kind of like the VC, startup, venture-backed folks very rarely intersect with like the major players in the domain space. And so I've kind of got the opportunity to like be the conduit between these two worlds. And so I'll get brought in if board members or investors or whatever, they're like, if you're going to buy this thing, you should talk to Rob. And like, I'll help them think it through. Sometimes I will know the sellers as well, and I can help them negotiate better deals. Sometimes it's going super deep on like really gnarly, complicated deals. Like one example I'll give you, I wrote a blog post on where we had to drive down to Appalachia, my partner and I, and we had to meet a guy in person, and he would only get paid in gold coins. So we had to negotiate this whole in-person security, the gold, the transfer process. You just get into all these weird and wacky situations, and for whatever reason, my brain is wired where I just love getting those things done. It gives me a lot of gratification when it's very complicated.
And talk about like two different worlds, like the guy in Appalachia who wants gold coins and like the venture-backed startup founder that wants the domain name yesterday.
Yeah.
And like that is quite the two different customers.
Absolutely. And so being able to like speak both of those languages has been very helpful. And again, there aren't a lot of like trusted entities in this space. It's traditionally been very opaque, where it's like, why do I have to like WhatsApp this guy in the UAE at 3 a.m. about a domain name? Like, who are these people? And so I've gotten the chance to meet a lot of those people, and I've gone to some domain name conferences and like really started to meet folks. It's just kind of fascinating to me. And so that's one of the things I'm like, this is something I naturally gravitate towards. There's a lot of opportunity. I've met, we did like 467 deals last year. Wow. And it has been an opportunity to like meet so many founders, meet so many people. I wind up investing in a handful of those, taking equity in a couple. Like, I did not realize how much overlap there would be in like my previous life, anyone who's raising, like a lot of people who are going through rebrands, like we help name a lot of companies now.
Like what's available, you're like, I'm thinking these 5 things. What's the easiest domain name to get?
Totally.
Yeah.
Or people will say like, a lot of YC companies, they'll come to us and they're like, we're pretty open on like a name, but we want a really good domain name. So like, and these are our criteria. We want a .com, our budget's, whatever, 50K, 100K. We want to have this kind of connotation. So we'll build lists from them, some from random people's names, some from lists that we maintain, some from investors, some of our names. And it's been fun. We probably named like 10 companies last year. And I just love seeing them out there and like they're posting on their LinkedIn. I'm like, I knew you before you had that name.
You're like, it's okay. You don't have to give me credit, but I'll take
Yeah, no, it's
credit.
fine. I mean, I'll comment and I would like you to like it. But
yeah, exactly.
No, but I just find that really gratifying. And it's nice to also like, well, of course, we want everyone to be successful and build big companies. It's nice to be in a position of like just helping people get the thing, agnostic of, are they going to be $1 billion company? Are they going to need to pivot? Are they going to need to do whatever? Like we kind of help people. We sell like the shovels and the pickaxes,
Mm-hmm.
We're not the gold diggers, but we help people get the tools they need to go do that.
And also smart, like to, align yourself with a business where the cost of a domain is typically on the higher end. Like I know someone who bought friend.com, which you may have seen a little bit of that.
Sure. Avi.
Yeah, Avi, exactly. And maybe you helped with that one. But, I think the cost is so high that it's also worth your time. I think that's also really fun is like when there also is a payout, it's like I always talk about like the Jesse Itzler story where like he had a jet company, and he's like, he only needed to sell, a few dozen jets to be $1 billion company.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of nice that the jets are so expensive. Every hour you put in, it's like, I'm still going to make money on this.
Yeah. Although I
it's a
will
nice calculus.
say, I agree, but I've also found I get an equal amount of gratification on the really small ones. Like there are so many, like we have so many deals that are like earlier stage, maybe they can only spend $25,000, but no one can figure out who owns the name and how to get a hold of
And you
them.
figure it out.
And
you're
we
like
figure it out.
You're like a CIA agent or something.
I like to think that. I want to get a T-shirt that says something cool on it. But yeah, we're like we get to be the heroes in those cases, and people are like, "Oh my God, we had to launch on trycoffee.net, and now we're like coffee.co. That's so cool." It's like it feels good to come through because there also aren't a lot of people that are like willing to wade through the shit, if you will, in order to figure out how to get those things done. And I really just like taking on the complexity, and I'm like, yep, we got it done. And then be like, oh, cool, how do I pay? Like literally I've been, Telegram messaging this guy in Brazil for 3 months to try and get him to sell. It's cool. It's
awesome.
I don't know if this is my forever role, but it's pretty good for right now, and it allows me a lot of flexibility. I'm on a couple startup boards. I'm on the board of baby formula company called Nara that just launched. That's crushing it.
Very exciting.
And then I'm the board chair of a homeless shelter in New Jersey.
Wow, what's it called?
It's called Isaiah House, isaiahhouse.org. And so I've been.
Did you help them get that domain, or they already had it?
They already had that domain.
Okay.
I'm working on an upgrade for them. It's not our top
Isaiah.org,
priority right now. Yeah. But this type of work has also allowed for flexibility to get pretty involved with that type of stuff. And so that's been a nice mix of, it's not a venture-backed startup. It's as busy as we want to be. But it allows us to kind of get involved in other stuff that's important as well.
I love that. You can have some diversity in your day-to-day.
Yeah, and
I
I get
think
to see so much of my children.
Yeah, which is so nice.
So nice.
I mean, you want to be around, and you spend so much time at Row building. It's nice to now be present, take them to school, go to the games, all that.
It is. It is.
I love that. If you work in venture or startups, you know the constant juggling act. Replying to messages from co-investors, founders, LPs, customers, and teammates all hitting your personal number. I know this very well. We all hand out our cell, which means your EA can't help an iMessage, and important threads get buried. That's why I'm very excited about Quo, formerly OpenPhone. It's built for founders and investors like us who want communication that feels personal but stays organized. Quo gives you a dedicated business line on your existing cell phone. And if you already have a business number, you can bring it with you for free. Plus, you'll get call summaries, transcripts, and an AI voice agent called Sona that can answer and schedule when you're offline. We're actually cooking up something fun with the Quo team right now and using that same voice AI tech in a new way for our firm. More soon, but it's a great reminder that you can use voice AI to stay top of mind of your customers' needs. Quo is trusted by over 90,000 businesses and rated #1 on G2 for customer satisfaction. You can get 20% off your first 3 months at quo.com/trailblazers. That's quo.com/trailblazers. So I've actually used Gusto at 3 different companies, and every time it's been such a relief. It's simple, it's reliable, and my paycheck was always on time, no drama. And unlike the big clunky payroll systems out there, Gusto is online payroll and benefit software specifically built for small businesses. It's all-in-one, remote-friendly, and incredibly easy to use, so you can pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere. For smaller startups in particular, I have found that it's the most affordable and easy to set up option, and it's the one that we recommend to all of our startups at our firm. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/trailblazers and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/trailblazers. One more time, gusto.com/trailblazers. Okay, Rob, it's time for our lightning round.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready? We call them Trailblazer trade-offs.
Oh.
We love alliteration.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Okay. Book in hand or podcast in ears?
Book in hand.
Do you have a favorite? Or favorite recently?
Yeah. I actually, by the way, to merge those two together, I love doing the Kindle book and the audio book, and they'll sync up. So you can listen.
I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, it's called Whisper Sync. You can listen. So like I was listening to a book on the way in here, and then I'll go home and I'll pick up my Kindle in the same spot. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty big.
Wow.
Big
Wow. You're blowing my mind.
What's one? I'm actually reading. What am I reading right now? That I think is good, but I don't know yet. Hail Mary.
Oh, is it Project Hail Mary? That book?
Yeah. So that's good. I've gone through like a kind of like a sci-fi fantasy kick more recently.
So fun. And honestly, if nothing else, it'll be great to prep you for the 27 awards season.
Oh.
Because apparently that movie's like winning everything. That's what I've heard.
Well, I'm a big awards guy, so.
Yeah.
No,
I actually am a big awards girl.
Oh, are you?
You were joking. You were
I
being
was,
sarcastic.
but are you happy with the results recently?
Yeah. I would say for the most part. I don't think I saw enough of the movies this year to give like a really confident opinion.
I saw Sinners.
Yeah, Sinners. Sinners was great.
Sinners was good. Surprising.
Hamnet, the drama. Did you see Hamnet?
Mm-mm.
Oh, wild.
Hamnet good?
Hamnet good, and Jessie Buckley's performance, mind-blowing. Will be studied in future.
I do want to see
What?
Marty Supreme.
Oh, so good.
I'm a big ping pong fan. So.
Okay. It's fun. It's quirky, but I love Timothée Chalamet. To me, is so dedicated to his craft. I'm like a big fan of him.
Yeah?
So, I don't know.
Seems great.
It seems great. But I think next year's going to be a really good lineup.
All right.
Yeah, especially for you with Mr. Sci-Fi. You're going to like next year.
All right.
There's a lot of good ones.
I'll pencil it in.
Yes. Okay, morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Okay.
I mean, I'll get up early out of necessity, but everyone's grumpy in the morning.
Yeah, I get it. Not everyone. One time I recorded a podcast here, 7 a.m.
Huh.
I was like getting an early start. Okay, listen, it helps me, not in the middle of my day, but.
Were you able to rally for it?
I mean, it was a lot, I'm used to like doing my workout, easing into the day, and now we just really started.
Just be like, you know what? Just could you tell me for about 45 minutes about what's going on with you?
Yeah, and then we can start like at 8. No, he was lovely, but definitely it's a lot. But I hear you, night owl, for sure. Cooking dinner or ordering in?
Ordering, for sure.
Do you have a
We're
favorite?
kind of like doing a mix right now. We're trying like a lot of these like kits and pre-made things. Neither Jamie or I, my wife, are like huge cooking people, but we know it's something we should do.
I get it. That's how I feel. What's the meal kit you like the most? Is there like a rec you have, or like a person? I have these friends, especially in the city, where they make meals on Sundays for people, and it's not like a whole company. They're just like a one-off.
Yeah, we're doing a couple of those, more like neighborhoody type of things. Where
just like a good chef that'll just like drop it off. Yeah,
it's true. We have a lot of different dietary needs. My wife is vegan with a nut allergy. My daughter and I both eat everything, and my son is a vegetarian with a nut allergy. So we wind up usually doing like 3 different meals. Yeah,
that's fair. But that's where these chefs are so great, because you can tell them these are our little specific things, and they can be really.
Yeah, I want to get one of those just that comes to my house and makes the food.
Yeah, all the time, ideally. Just always cooking.
That would be great, and cleaning as well.
Yeah, a lot of things. It's okay.
AI will do it.
Exactly. We'll find robots. VC or bootstrapping? Because you've done both.
Yeah. This is what is my preference?
Yeah.
Probably VC.
Okay, and why?
Help accelerate things. less, more opportunity to grow more quickly, scale more quickly when you have some money behind you.
Yep, I hear you. Networking dinner or big conference?
Probably networking dinner, but maybe not right now at this stage of my life. I kind of like, I've been to some of these conferences more recently, and I like the autonomy you have there to kind of just like do whatever you want. Like, you want to go to a session, you want to go to dinner, you want to take a nap, it's up to you.
Yeah. The networking dinner is kind of spotlight. You can't really like tune out. You got to be
really zoned in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or else you're like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, and then you're on your phone for like 45 minutes.
Okay, so it sounds like your answer might be conference. Is that right?
It might be. I don't know.
Okay.
It might be.
Okay, well, say you're split.
Yeah, let's go right down the middle.
Okay. Hire slow or fire fast?
Both. I think that's a both.
Okay, I'm going to make you pick this one. You got to pick one.
I mean,
which matters more?
Which matters.
And you can think about the alternative. Is it better to hire fast or hire slow?
Well, it's definitely not better to hire fast. You can hire fast if you're finding great people, but I think probably let's go with hire slow. It's especially earlier on. It's so important to get those early hires right, because very rarely you're going to move on from them very fast because it's such a critical need. You know, it's like we hired somebody to run tech. And if they're bad, that means we have to fire them, and then we can't build anything anymore. You know, versus later on in your stage, you have some redundancy there. So I'd say hire at a pace at which you're able to keep the quality really high.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake a lot of people are making now because they're raising so much venture and they're just like, let's scale, let's go. But you're right, you have to kind of make sure you don't have those faulty hires.
Very like offboarding people is very painful.
For everyone.
For everyone.
Yeah.
And, you know, quick aside, but like we went through a scaling phase, and I feel like probably 70% of my time was just interviewing people and hiring people. And I remember I think I interviewed like close to 30 people to find our comms person, who's great, still there. Shout out Meg. But that's just kind of part of the job, and it is time consuming and soul sucking. And then if you have to let that person go and go through the process again, you've not only wasted your time on the hiring side, but like getting them up to speed and building out that function. It's just like very, very, very painful to have to go through that.
Yeah. It's funny. I find that a lot of folks that are just getting started are so surprised to hear what you just said, which is I spend most of, if not all my time hiring. Because, you know, it makes sense in theory, right? You want to make sure you get the right people in place who can help scale you and scale all these other functions. But I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, even if you are, you know, chief growth officer, a lot of it's just people management and hiring. You know, that's so much of the job.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and in addition, you know, in that role at Row, like at the founder level, felt like it's very hard to pass that off to anyone else.
Exactly.
Like you
want to have
a pulse. You have to keep like the quality high, and a lot of times that comes from like the founders and their philosophy and how they're kind of calibrating.
Totally. Amazing. Okay, 10 small wins or one big moonshot?
Moonshot.
Yeah.
I think about that in terms of like almost like growth and performance, like step functions, right? Like you very rarely get a step function up in growth from very small optimizations, right? 1% here, 2% here, that's great, and you need to do those things. But like, what's going to 100% grow your business year over year? Very rarely is that from like tinkering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love that. That's a great analogy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I just came up with it.
Oh, it's great. We're gonna like clip that and use it. Being early or being right?
Is there context for that?
Nope. It could be anything from like a deal. It could be on a market. It could be on anything.
I mean, I think early is pretty important. Being early to something also gives you the flexibility to pivot into being right, if that makes sense. Like, you don't just have to be 100% right out of the gate if you are market leader or very early to an industry. I think there's a lot of examples of that.
Yeah, totally. First mover advantage.
There you go.
Okay, never post on social media again or never fundraise another dollar again.
I like the idea of not fundraising again. That sounds pretty good. I'll pick that one.
Okay. So you want to make sure you stay on socials and
I don't really care as much about social, but I just like the idea of
You're
not
anti-fundraise.
fundraising again. I'm not anti-fundraise. I just
not at this stage of your life right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you don't need to.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
Love that game. Also looking at different games.
Totally. Season of new games. Okay, the last question and the ultimate, okay, is AI overhyped or underhyped?
I was gonna say appropriately hyped, but that's not.
I don't like a split.
Yeah,
you gotta
don't
pick.
like that. So I gotta man up here.
Yeah.
I would say I don't know, overhyped. Overhyped. I mean, there's so much investment in AI right now. There's so many companies building every version and variation. I think is incredibly important and will be a big part of the future of work and the future of company building. But right now, I think especially in like the tech Twitter bubble sphere, it feels like it's absolutely everything, and feels and smells a little bubbly from other cycles. But that's not to discount how important and impactful I think it'll be.
Got it. Hear you. Sounds like it's split, slightly overhyped.
Well, I wouldn't say split. Those were your words because I don't split things anymore. I was chastised from earlier splits.
This is true. Okay, fine. So it's firmly overhyped.
So firmly overhyped.
Rob, thank you for being here. This was so much fun.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. This was lovely. Appreciate it.
Thank you. On Trailblazers, we're always talking about multiplying your impact, and that's exactly what Athena helps you do. Athena pairs you with a world-class executive assistant who becomes a true force multiplier for your business and your life. Working with my Athena assistant has been transformative. Gab was instrumental in raising Park Rangers Capital's fund in ways that I could have never imagined an assistant could contribute, from closing six-figure checks to identifying new LPs we should meet to matching my tone perfectly in follow-up emails. He's elevated my capacity as a founder by giving me more time to focus on the highest leverage work. Athena isn't just about scheduling meetings, it's about unlocking leverage. Hundreds of founders, investors, and executives trust Athena to free their time and scale their impact. Athena is offering our listeners $2,000 off for their first year of service and priority onboarding. And you want that, trust me, there's a very long wait list. When you're ready to multiply your impact and free up time for the things only you can do, go to athenago.me/Erica-Wenger. That's athenago.me/ERICA-WENGER. Thanks so much for listening to the Trailblazers podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. You can also support our work by sharing it with a friend or leaving a quick review. It helps more contrarian builders find us. For more on Park Rangers Capital and our community of elephant founders, head to parkrangerscap.com or find me online at Erica_Wenger. Until next time, keep trailblazing.